You're listening to the PARAHOUSE Entertainment. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Conspiracy Clan. It's a beautiful Friday here in Kentucky. I don't know what it's doing down there in Florida, but it looks like from Kevin's window, it looks pretty good out there.
That's my forever window. It's actually a backdrop. So when it's dark, it looks like it's sunny. I mean, there's no flies on me.
Yes, it's always sunny out there in Florida, right? Well, I'm gonna apologize to you right now. My dog is out. I'm gonna keep him out here for a little bit. So if you hear some interruptions, you're gonna hear a wonderful barking and so forth like that. We'll try to keep it down to a minimum as he chews on my hand while I do this. But we want to say hi to everybody. We've got our very special guest for today's show, Susan Shatzer. And she's in here. We'll get to her in just a second. But I want to say hi to the other hosts of the show. Mike out there in Spain, Kevin in Florida, Susan in Florida also. And it's just a great day. And I'm so glad that you're all here. And we want to give a shout out to the chat room also. Hey, Billy, how you doing? Frankie Lynn, thank you for tuning in. Laughlin Gray, how's everything going? We're always pleased to have you all in here with us, and we thank you for all the support that you give us. So let's start off with Susan. Susan, you are the most delightful person, and you are dealing with consciousness and everything else so much, but you also get into every kind of other thing. You have books out. You have a great show. Before we get into it, I would love you just to tell us a little bit about you and what's going on with you right now, and then we'll get off of you. We'll kick it over to one of the other guys, and then we'll come back on the conspiracy stuff. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, Barry, so much,
You're
Mike and Kevin, for inviting me to play with you guys.
This is what this is, isn't it?
I feel like it's the Brady Bunch, and we're all
yes. It does look like the Brady Bunch, doesn't it?
It's like 3 3 men and a lady.
That's exactly right. And that's why we advertised it too this week. So
You guys are
and
so magnificent.
yes, and you
Thank
are
you.
all lady, my dear all lady, and just fantastic to have you here again. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. What you been up to?
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Like so many things have been like shake and bake. Do you remember that when we were kids and you'd put the chicken in the Ziploc bag?
Yeah.
I don't know, Mike
Yeah.
and Kevin, if they had this over in England, but you put like the batter or something in it and seasoning and you just shake the bag. It was shake and bake. And then you would just take it out and you would just toss it on a pan and throw it in the oven. And that was it. And that was dinner. So I feel like my whole life has just been the shake and bake. Most recently for the past like 3 months, where everything is just thrown into a Ziploc bag. Everyone's just shaking it and waiting for it to just get thrown out on the pan and for us to have a great meal.
Yeah, we don't have those in the UK. I don't think we do.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we do. We
Oh,
have
do we?
had something similar. Yeah, it's. I think it was shake and vac though. Yeah.
Shaking that. Is that the oil where you like would dip it in? It would be deep fried.
Susan, what's under your title there? It says conscious revolutionary. What is that?
Yeah, so consciousness revolutionary is a title that has kind of come about after so many years, and it's where I'm willing to be conscious about everything without a point of view, without a judgment, without separating myself, like including myself with it in the kingdom of we versus I and me, or we and us. And really just being willing to ask questions to gain the awarenesses of what is true for me and for clients that I work with. So yeah, my goal is to, I was brought here to raise the vibrational frequency on the planet and writing books and having a radio show myself and, having a global TV series, which you were an amazing guest on. And we should post your show here.
Yes, that would be a good idea. Yes, I remember seeing where just recently you mentioned I was on I think it was season 3, did you say?
Yeah.
And I have it. I have that show on my website, and people can still gain access to it. I watch it occasionally. It's such a good interview. I mean, it's just amazing, really. So so it's good to have you on Barry's show now, and we're doing the other side of this. And it's good that, like you say, you're trying to get information, the truth out there to change the consciousness, change the reality. We touch on consciousness, the ETs, and we try to get the truth out there as with all the information and disinformation now, it's difficult. So we try to research and we put our things out here on Barry's show, and hopefully most of it's 100% accurate, but sometimes it may not be. But we always say, do your own research, and then don't listen to us, do your own research. And that I think that works well. So I know it's great to see you again, Susan, and great to have you on. I think we're going to call this Mike's show today because he gets left out sometimes, does Mike? So on Mike's show, it's nice to see you.
That's all of our show, and we're proud to be able to do it. And you're so right. Consciousness is such an important part of our life, especially coming up in our future, and all the things that we're talking about. And we need everybody's energy to be in the right source, in the right frequencies, to be able to raise everybody else up. And it is an important part. Today we'll make it Mike's show. Mike, I'm gonna start you off right off the bat, and I'll let you run with it. What's going on over there in Europe, and what have you found for us this week?
Okay. Well, I'll start off first with welcoming Susan to our show. Welcome, Susan, to see you, and also welcome to all our regulars in the comment section. What's going on in Europe? Well, is it sunny there in wherever you are?
This is my royalty.
Oh, right. Okay. Do I have to bow?
You're in England.
Yes. Okay.
This is a tribute.
Actually, no, I'm not. I'm not in England. I'm in Spain. You can tell that by what it says there. Mike Briggs in Spain.
Yeah, I probably should maybe look around, be more aware, and read it.
It's the sunglasses.
It is.
And excuse me, folks, I'm here. I'm just bouncing myself back and forth because of the dog. And I apologize, but we're still here. So,
so anyway,
go ahead, Mike.
Get on with Europe. We'll let you sort little puppy out there. Well, at the weekend, there was mass protests in London, other major cities. And, some of the media were live streaming it, but they were only saying there was hundreds of people protesting. In actual fact, it was tens of thousands of people protesting. So another classic example of not getting the truth from mainstream media. Spain, the health minister for Andalusia, which is where I am, Dr. Ramon Munoz, I think they pronounce it. His wife actually works for a pharmaceutical company. And guess who got the contract for distribution, monitoring, storage, and administration of the vaccine? His wife's company got it. Why not send it out to tender to all the different companies involved? But no, he gives it straight to it. So, there's a bit of corruption there, I think, somewhere. But it just, it just goes on and on and on. This, doesn't it? Yeah. So I think I'll pass it over to Kevin now, and you can say.
I've got a question for you, Mike. You said they were demonstrating in different cities in the UK. What was the demonstration for?
Oh yes, of course. That's a major sort of thing, really, because it could have been protesting against.
Yeah, we just need that little piece of information. Were they demonstrating against the vaccine, or demonstrating against the lockdown, or demonstrating against the Prime Minister? What were they demonstrating at?
Well, the thing, I knew what they were demonstrating, so I thought that everybody else would know, but that nobody knows what I know. So I bet. Yes, it was about the lockdowns and the restrictions and. 2020. I used to say 2020 going to be the year of plenty. It was completely it, But,
it was.
So I take it, Mike, it was against the lockdown.
Yeah, I think, did I not just say that?
Oh, I did. Perhaps I was watching Susan with the glasses on. I wasn't paying attention. So,
yeah, you see, that's you. That's you. We get female on here, and you just get distracted.
I can't concentrate when Susan's here. Right then, so I've got quite a few notes today that I've made, so they're very interesting, and I've got some that Sandy made as well. So I must get those out. They're very good. But I know Barry calls it, his show is the Conspiracy Clan. So I came across a piece of information today, and the term conspiracy theory. Well, I'm going to read this so I get it correct. Was a term made popular by the CIA to stop critical thinkers from asking questions about the JFK assassination. In a memo called Countering Criticism of the Warren Report, the CIA set out to make, can't read that word, the conspiracy theorist a weapon to be used against anyone who questioned the government secrets and secret activities and programs. So, it's just amazing, really. Now, like I say, everybody's called a conspiracy theorist. If you come up with some alternative news, they just poo-poo it by saying it's a conspiracy theory. But so it was the CIA that termed that initially. I thought that was an interesting point because of the name of the show. So back to you then, Barry.
Oh, okay,
Word
excellent,
wasn't
excellent. You
pronounced.
know, it's so funny. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say that word that you couldn't pronounce, was it spelled T-H-E?
Yes.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't read my writing. I couldn't read my writing. That's what it was.
You know, it's so funny. Everyone is, Kevin's always saying it's amazing that we all find the same things, and it was funny that for some reason or other, I was going through some stuff, and the conspiracy thing. I also saw a whole mess about the conspiracy thing and how it was set up to be used as this. And it's so funny if you go back into all of the history and dealing with everything that we have, it is all goes back to some lie to do something else, to get you to look somewhere else, or to cause people disinformation and everything else to flow. And again, that's why we always say, do your own research, because I think you'll find that there's some amazing things out there that will shock you if you are doing it. And coming up in this season that we are right now, there are many a thing that is going on and coming out, and be prepared because I think that most people are, we always talk about the sleepers. Well, it's not the sleepers. It's just the social conditioning and the way you've been had things for the last 80 years have put you into this mind frame, and you've got blinders on, and it's all right to ask questions, but currently, if you remember last week, if we challenge the situations that go on, next thing you know, that we are cut off the air. So we're going to try to do the same thing this week, but we're going to stay away from some of their algorithms, I guess they call it. Excuse me, I'm pulling a Kevin on me now. But anyway, it's been an interesting week, and we've done some research on quite a lot of different things. I was doing some right up to the moment here on COVID. I'm spelling it because that's one of those algorithms that you can't say. But it's really funny. If you spell it, they can't do anything about it. So I've got some information on that. And I've also got some great stuff on the UFO stuff. And if anybody has been watching the UFOs things come out lately, it is amazing. And we've got a lot of stuff that I'd like to talk about that today. But I'm going to kick it over to Susan and see what she's doing.
I'm doing stuff with things. Yeah, it was interesting. I sort of, when I ask a question to the universe, to God, to source, to spirit about, what would be in the highest and best for all involved. And recently what showed up in my awareness was, I don't know if you guys have heard about it. It's called the Sofia Myth. And it was in the agnostics period of time. And during the agnostics period of time, they had a female goddess, and her name was Sophia. And the myth kind of goes like this, where she was one of the deities. So it was God. So I'm just going to go with my awareness. Let's just go right there. So there's an original molecule in the shape of like a dodecahedron, and that was the original molecule before everything got created in the universe. And the molecule is known as Christ consciousness or God consciousness. So God was having a good time, he was like hanging out, and he's like, you know what, I need some peeps to play with. So he recreated himself a couple times. And so you would sort of know them as being the gods, like Zeus, Aphrodite, I can't even think of them all, but do you know what I'm saying? Like those gods. So Sophia happened to be one of those. And they were having fun, and it's sort of like we have duality here on planet Earth in 3D. So everything is good and bad or right and wrong. And if it wasn't that, if everything was just neutral, it would kind of be boring
Mm-hmm.
to some people, especially people who like the trauma and drama. So it was boring for them because they just kept having the same thing, doing the same thing over and over again. So she volunteered. She sacrificed herself, her goddess, and she fell like a fallen angel. And she fell and she started creating everything. So as she fell from heaven, right, she started to create everything from her energy. And it was flowing like an astronomical rate, and everything was just being created. She had the creation energy for all that is. And in doing that, the deities that were up there that were watching her realized that she was in crisis because just so much was flowing out. It was like happening so quickly that she was just kind of exploding. So in order to prevent the explosion, they created the frequency of matter. So they saved her by creating the spiral. Barry, you're shaking your head up and down. I'm like, does this sound familiar?
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's exactly
So
true.
they created the spiral. And so this is how matter became created, with her spiral. And we see that in our spiral DNA, how our planet spirals and rotates, how our solar system spirals and rotates, how our planets and suns, just everything, all the way down to like the flower. You know, you can see the spiral in the seeds of a pine cone and the spiral in the seeds of a sunflower. So I thought that was so interesting because what if, right? What if that is the true vibrational frequency of us? What if we are creation? Because we create our reality, and our point of view actually helps us with that. So I thought that was so interesting to take a look at that, because you know, what this does is this kind of brings where science meets awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings it together. And as a consciousness revolutionary, like, I'm a pattern interrupter. So I'm so willing to bring the interruption to what we've been patterned with Big Bang Theory and religion and all those kind of things. Like, you know, what if there's something else that's possible?
Yeah, you know, and I love that, and that's putting it into a great text. And I love the Gnostic stuff. I prefer the old thing. The Book of Thomas is in the Gnostics, and it was written in 1 to 2 AD. And it is just a fantastic book. A lot of the things are based on it. It's the sayings of Jesus Christ. And, you know, one of the things that you talk about, the spiral. And anybody who was watching Ancient Aliens or all these other programs, if you look back into the modern, I mean, way back in time of cave art and everything else, what do you always see? The spiral. It is everywhere, because that is the beginning of everything. It's all about things. And they're always leaving notes for us to remember these things. You know, you mentioned the DNA, the Kundalini, everything is always working around the spiral in this way. And 432 is the frequency of Mother Earth and the most calming frequency about it. So if you're generating at 432, you are at a wonderful level, and everything else is perfect. But that's the things that they are disturbing and trying to change right now. You know, what happened? They changed music to 440. You know, they've changed everything so it affects you in a different way. They don't want you to have this stuff. It controls you. Lower frequencies is what Hitler used to put out. You know, and what does it do? It makes you go, I'm complacent. I will do what you tell me to do. So right. You know, and that's the thing that we're at today. Imagine everybody going through this through all that period of time. And you've seen how history has been wiped away. Books are starting to go away, all this stuff. And it's all for a reason and all for a certain purpose. And, you know, that's the thing of awareness. That's why we're here, to share all this with everybody and hope that they get it and look at it, because it's so important. I always get yelled at for talking a lot.
I hadn't noticed.
But yeah, I know. But I'm going to add some stuff to it. So I'm looking at the chat room. I've seen a lot of stuff about UFOs and everything else. And I just want to cover some of the stuff that's happened in the UFO field. As of Sunday on Fox News prime time, there was an interview, and then I just saw one today out by Senator Marco Rubio. Excuse me, I apologize. But interesting, it says Senator Rubio, the headline today is there is stuff flying over military installations and no one knows what it is. And this was as of this morning's news. Says Senator Rubio told reporters that he was concerned about the UFOs and identifying objects flying over our military bases. When asked about the UFOs at the Reagan National Airport near Washington, Rubio said the stuff is flying over the military installations and no one knows what it is or it isn't ours. Rubio is a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and he is they're all looking into that. Excuse me, I told you there might be some dog barks. So
I've got a question for you, Barry, in relation to that. I've seen those reports, I watched them and I've seen the interviews. It's good to see they're actually talking about it on mainstream media. I know it's Fox, but there's still a lot of people watch it. I think more than CNN, actually. And it's good that they're talking about it. But do you think they're building up to a false flag invasion to continue with the fear factor on top of the COVID double D?
Yes.
Something or other.
Well, it's very funny. The people who are, the interview was with former Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe. And it was funny, Marie Moreno, or whatever her last name is, and I apologize that I butchered that so bad. But I was shocked when she asked about UFOs, and then he actually gave a serious answer. This was during 2021 when he was Director of National Intelligence, and I felt that was very, very interesting. So when you're talking about that, it makes a big difference that they are talking about it. Now, when you talk about, I think that there are certain groups that may think that this is disclosure at its finest. Going through what's happening, I think that we need to know some of the technologies, some of the things that are happening. If things do change, I think it will be earth-shattering, and a lot of people will learn more. Because this has been going on. Yes, you agree. I understand.
Mike, do you see anything on your news over there in Spain about the UFOs? Is it getting over there as well, or is it just here in the US?
No, I haven't noticed anything.
Nothing about the UFOs at all. No. And how are you getting on with the lockdown? Have you has that changed at all recently?
It's changed here in Spain. They've opened the bars and restaurants now. They don't have to close at 6 o'clock. They can close at 10:30. So that's a move in the right direction. But whether it's just a carrot before they take it away, we'll have to wait and see. But Gibraltar, they've about 98% of people there have had the vaccine, but the concession is you don't have to wear a mask outside now, only in public areas, shops, restaurants and bars. But if everybody's been vaccinated, why are they wearing masks? It's supposed to protect you, the vaccine. So it doesn't make sense to me. In England, if you leave the country now without a valid reason, you'll get fined £5,000. So the airlines advertising, book your holidays now. The government are saying, if you go on holiday and come back, you'll get fined £5,000. Plus, you'll have to stay in quarantine, and that'll cost you £1,700. So, it's just like, I feel they're making an example of the UK, and they are trying to see how far they can push people before they crack. And then, because you've got the UK there, they're locking, and Johnson has just announced further lockdowns until September. So when he was promising April, May time, people will be able to go on holidays. And yet we here in Spain are reducing all the lockdowns.
That seems interesting. I think I would agree with you there, Mike. They seem to be using the UK because it's a small island. It's only just a little bit bigger than Florida, and it's an island that obviously it's got quite a large population. But if they're able to control it as a controlled experiment, because it contradicts what we're doing here in Florida. We're open, you've still got your social distancing, you can wear masks if you want, it's mandatory. Everybody's out and about. I'll be out this weekend and the restaurants are full. People are out enjoying life. But the UK, like you say, they had a recent vote, I believe, in the Houses of Parliament, and I wrote it down somewhere on a piece of paper, but as usual, I've lost the piece of paper. I think it's about 486 people, MPs, members of Parliament, voted to extend the COVID regulations until September, and only, I think, 78 or 72 voted against it. So the whole of the UK Parliament are virtually agreeing on extending, which is like a total, I don't think it's a total lockdown, but certainly the major COVID rules, they've released some of them, but not being able to leave the country. They're controlling everything. It's been like living in China. All right. Yeah, well, CDC are saying the same there with what Susan said. So there's some coordination here in relation to what's going on. So, but what do you think about this, Susan? Do you think it's a conspiracy in relation to just having the UK lockdown? I know you don't go over there, but I'd like to hear your view on it.
It's hogwash.
Okay, now over to Barry.
And I've got to agree with that. It is hogwash, and it's really funny. That if we're going to do that again, I've got to throw some research your way. And I was looking at some stuff about, you've heard me talk about how in 2020, early 2020, we had almost a near pandemic. And I was looking at some of the things that the CDC and everything else was saying before the COVID. And it's funny that actually, when you're looking at the emergency request for this vaccine, actually started in December of 2020. I was reading on the FTC website today on it and looking at it. It was pretty unusual. It didn't go into effect until near the end of March when they really pushed it. But they were looking for it before that. But in January of 2020, January 10th, this report came out. Flu is taking its toll. Pandemic pediatric deaths hit a 17-year high. If you remember when we talked about COVID in the early part of the year, they were talking about how badly it affects children. Well, the flu is spreading near peak full seasons. Currently, it is the influenza B Victoria is the most poignant flu strain across the country, which is unusual for influenza B Victoria cases than because they have more of them than we typically have had. And the strain that is not comprehensively covered by this year's vaccine. So the year that you were taking your flu vaccines and everything else, please note that B, Victoria, was the number one leading case of influenza, and it really wasn't helping you. It would help you not get super ill. But the CD announced the highest number of pediatric deaths related to the flu. The United States may be gearing up for one of the worst flu seasons in years, health experts predict. Center of Disease Control Prevention reported Friday that there has been 32 now this is just at the beginning of the year, 32 deaths so far this season. That's the most few related deaths seen in children since the CDC started tracking the flu numbers 17 years ago. Now, what's that tell you? You know, at the time, also, it says 46 states plus Puerto Rico are currently experiencing widespread flu activity through the types and strains. Evidence vary from region to region. And it says since mid-December, the influenza activity is really wrapped up. So here we have something.
Barry, I think they're going to continue to find new things. Next, it'll be a variant flu strain, anything to keep us locked down or keep us in fear. But I've got a really good new word for it now. It's all hogwash. It's just
hogwash. Exactly, it is. You know, and Kevin, I got to tell you. So to top this off, now we're in March. And the CDC put out another thing talking about flu activity. And flu activity in the U.S. as of the week ending March 13th, 2021. According to the CDC, seasonal flu activity in the United States remains lower than usual at this time of the year, but could begin increasing at any time. The CDC also reports that one child died during the flu thing with the visit the CDC Flu View to monitor flu activities and related hospital deaths. During the 2019-2020 flu, the CDC reported 195 child deaths due to flu complications. Now, that was between January, when there was 35, till March, beginning of March, when the flu epidemic is changed. It goes from every year to October through March. And the highest number that they'd ever seen before was 16. So it's really funny that they were, you know, is that crazy? Or are you saying that was all COVID or not? But they are actually reporting those were that way. Do you know that there's 197 million cases of flu and 87,000 flu-related deaths? And it was up to 12,000 deaths. And that was that was the quote by CDC. And if you look at all the stuff that you've been seeing here lately, those numbers.
I think Susan wants to ask a question, Barry.
Yes, go ahead.
I think Susan wants to ask a question.
That was my eyes were getting glazed over.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, so Barry, like, what if the same group of individuals and people who were announcing the amount of COVID deaths, the C word, COVID deaths, were so high, everything was considered, is actually the same group of people that are feeding you these statistics. And it's, the platforms that you're quoting from is the regular mass media. It's
right,
like, what
exactly.
All hogwash.
Yeah, which is funny is when you look at that in that question, it goes to say that they're nothing but hogwash liars because they are throwing out different numbers all the time. That's why I read the report. It just goes to show you that it all stinks. They change like the weather. And
Yeah, so like, what would be fun for us? What if that was the question we were asking?
Yes.
What would be fun for us today? What would we like to do? What would we like to choose? What would create the greatest thing ever possible beyond what we ever thought? And what if those are the things that propelled our day, forward and moving forward? Because that's literally where you invite the universe, invite spirit, invite God, invite the Lord in to provide you with a different possibility that you may not have been available, because you can only know what you know versus, God has access to the infinite possibilities. So inviting him in to play with you and your energy outcreates, I should say, like beyond what you ever thought.
Yeah, and it opens your eyes to the awakeness of what's going on. I don't know. Has anybody ever seen the?
I would agree with
prophecies?
Susan. Sorry, Barry, it's been interrupting, but
All right.
I would
Right.
agree with Susan in relation to using consciousness to create something. The three of us are trying to create a future where we can all meet up freely and drink beer together without any masks, without any social distancing. And we talk about it every week. We're getting closer and closer to doing that. So, yes. And while I've got the floor, before Barry jumps back in again, we've learned one new word today, hogwash. I love that word. But I've got another word because Michael said he wanted to raise this show to be more intellectual. So since have introduced a new word, I've got a new word that I want to introduce today. It's the word of the day. It's called grandiloquent. Grandiloquent. What a beautiful word. And I bet nobody knows what it means, so I will tell you. It means to do something in hurry or haste, excessive speed or urgency or movement of action. And that's what we need now within our society. We need grandiloquent immediately. Immediately, I say.
Yes, exactly. To terminate the hogwash.
Yes, put the two words together and we'll create that new society.
Well, it's funny that you are, we as beings can manifest anything we want. If all of us decide to raise our things and determine what we want to do, and that goes back to this thing about what's happening in the country. Look, you can't act. You've got to have someone stand up, and I talked about that once before on the show. If one person stands up and dances, somebody else has got to stand up and dance. And once that one person stands up and dances, everybody else floods in and all starts dancing. And that's what makes it important. So we all need to do that. Don't just sit back and wait for something to happen. We have to force this, because as you're sitting back waiting, it's causing a massive delinquency and all the way across the board.
I'm going to interject again here, Barry. I'm sorry about this, but I've just got to do it. I've got to say it at the moment. I want what Susan's on. I need some of that. I need some of that. And then I still need to clear a point up there. I thought you said at the beginning of that long speech that you said we are has-beens. And I know that might apply to our Michael, but I don't think Susan and I are has-beens. Well, over to you, and Michael. I haven't heard from you for the last 2 hours, Michael. What have you got to say?
It's because, Barry doesn't often get a chance to get a word in edgeways, so I thought I'd give him that chance. So I'm just sitting back, being quiet, and letting Barry take the floor and just being thoughtful for him,
very kind of it.
Thank you. Like, your mic is so big in your picture. Can you see that? Like, it is like as large as your head. Your mic. Can you see that? Yeah, it's huge.
Wow,
it's big.
I'm actually embarrassed.
It's huge. And your name is Mike. So I'm sitting here, I'm just laughing because it's Mike with his mic.
Yeah,
it's what my wife says as well.
Yeah, well, I was seeing, I was doing in the chat room, and I see that Frankie Lynn was saying, I saw on the local news that they were talking about pregnant women taking the vaccines, and that nothing was wrong, no assumptions, side effects. But the next comment was there hasn't been any test on pregnant women. They didn't skip a beat. And it's funny. That's part of the stuff. You're so right, and it's so strange. And looking back up through here, controlling us through fears and money and more. Exactly, Laughlin. And the reason why I picked the puppy up, someone said, we'd like to see the puppy. So I brought him on screen for a second. But there's so much going on right now. And there's so many things that are happening. And all I can say is that I want Mike to tell you everything that's going on.
I've just read, where's it gone? Oh, chat's moved. Yeah, Frankie. I just saw his comment there and had to laugh. His Mike has the same haircut.
There's another one, Mike, as well. Somebody said it's a phallic symbol. Phallic, you see. We're using these big words today, aren't we?
We certainly are. I told you it'd be more intellectualist. But Barry was going on there about all these statistics.
That.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about the UK going into more lockdowns, and yet the giving out the death rate figures, and it's down. The other day, it was down to 63, and they're saying, "Oh, the vaccine is working. We're getting on top of it, and it's all good," and yet they're locking people down, and making more restrictions. It just doesn't make sense. And the WHO, they have confirmed that the COVID-19 PCR test is false. The false estimates of positive cases are meaningless, and the lockdowns have no scientific basis. So why are they doing it? Control.
Hogwash.
Fear. Hogwash. Hogwash.
Complete hogwash.
Yeah, it is scary when you look at, if you follow these figures and things. But like Susan said earlier, they're now giving separate figures for other things, and then people have got used to going onto these sites and looking at them. My wife Sandy found a very good site today, and it gives you all the alternative, correct information. And I just had a quick look at it today. And one of the things that was on there, it's called the governmentrag.com. So it's just the government, then RAG.com. And there's lots of information on there. And one of the pieces of information she did get, which was very interesting, since I was talking about the vaccines and the virus again, a paper was written by Anthony Fauci, Clifford Lane, and Robert Redfield in March 2020. And this is a published medical paper in a magazine in the New England Journal of Medicine. And they concluded after the research, the overall clinical consequences of COVID may ultimately be more akin to those of severe seasonal influenza, which has a case fatality rate of approximately 0.1%. And that's from people that are now giving us these figures and quoting this stuff. And they just keep changing. I do think it's all hogwash.
Have you ever tried to wash a hog?
No, I haven't. No.
There you go. Now you got what hogwash is all about. You just running around.
I like that. I like that definition. That's good.
I'm actually afraid to talk now. So
you talk away.
That's not. It's terrible. We have seen so. Hello, Joe. How you doing with your pointy sticks, brother? It's good to see you. in this thing, he's saying that I'm a flat earther. And he's referring to a comment I made in a private group, because all of the bizarre things that we have been seeing in the skies and UFOs and all the things that are related are all coming to a head. Last night, there was several different reports of objects in the sky. They were saying that we didn't know what it was. It may be a meteorite. And then they said, well, it could be space junk because there's no meteor showers right now. But it was seen in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was also seen in Washington State. Long way to be going to space junk. Either that or it's the massivest piece of space junk you've ever want to see. But is that what?
That weather balloon gets around, doesn't it, Barry?
Yeah, it sure does. I mean, and that's why I'm kind of going, comes in, burns up, makes a little scene. This seems to be a little bit weird. They were talking about it being one of the rockets from the blast from SpaceX. They can tell you anything and we're going to believe it. That's what's so weird. You know, we've got so many people that are so used to not asking any questions, you know, and it is so much, you know, when we look at it and you say that, you know, hey, they will let you do anything and they'll tell you anything. But you know what? We're the ones that are eating it. You know, we've got to learn to ask questions, got to be able to stand up. When we lose the right to be able to question and to be able to talk about things, you have just now gone into a socialism area. And this country is not what we need to do. A lot of the things that I've seen coming around this week, and Susan, I don't know if you're aware of Kim Clement. Are you know about his prophecies and so forth?
Who? What?
Kim Clement prophecies.
Yes.
And you know, pretty amazing stuff. If you guys want to look into that, it is spot on.
Yes.
And it's pretty scary to say. Way back from 2007. He was prophesizing it. He prophesized 9/11.
Yep.
He prophesized several different things. Now this is he died in 2016 from a brain tumor that took him extremely quick after 2015. And if you ever get a chance to read some of that or listen to it, you may be quite amazed at what he says. And
his daughter is still putting it out.
Yes, she is. And it's wonderful stuff. So there's so many things that we can look at and do. You know, we're hearing different things happening in March and all of these different things. Just remember that it's up to you what we do and where we go. You know, if we all go together, we go as one. And that's the important part. And that's the thing that we see at the end of that long little thing that I'm working on to change a little bit, shorten up as we introduce the conspiracy clan. But
I like it.
Well, thank you. And I would like to have, why don't we get our closing comments in, because we're running out of the time, and we'll talk a little bit. If you want to go a little over, we'll be more than happy to. So go ahead, close her up. I'll let Susan, would you like to go first? Or no, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make you last. Even though you are the lady, I'll make you last. And we'll go to Kevin, and then we'll go to the head of the show tonight, Mike, and then we'll go to you, and we'll get some websites from you and everything else. Okay? Kevin's still shaking his head. It's you playing with your hair that's just confusing,
It's
Kevin.
fascinating.
You know?
It's fascinating. You know, I just wish I could do the same, you know. But,
what run your hands through Susan's?
yes.
What did you say, Mike?
You can paste it on.
Yeah.
Would you like dark or light? You have to pick.
Everybody says your hair looks great, Susan.
I'm sorry.
Laughlin says, yeah, you know, they don't want to hear from us two old fogies here, me and him down there. Let's hear from Susan. Yeah, let's hear from Susan.
Yes.
No. You gentlemen, it is your show. Please speak to your truth.
Well, it's always ladies first, though.
I'll be quick then. Peace and love.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what can I say? Yeah, the UK, right? They're talking about vax passports. So, and they're talking about having passports, would you believe, to go into pubs and restaurants. I watched a video this week. I think you sent it me, Barry, about a woman in the war. And she telling she was in Austria, and she was telling the progression of the war, how it affected Austria. And I was amazed that she was saying what she's saying then. I mean, now, only just in a slightly format. And passports are basically your ID card to move about. And she was saying we had to have ID cards to board a bus, to go on a train. We're going to have a passport, vaccination passport, to go and have a pint of beer. Now, you know, it's exactly the same. And there was so many examples that she gave in that video that I just thought, yeah, you can just see exactly what they're doing. And it's step by step, chink by chink. And before you know where you are, you've gone from here to over here, and you haven't realized what's happened in between. And you think, how on earth did we get to this state? Well, that, you know, so that's really my closing ending.
It's that you need to get rid of that. You need to get rid of that mic, Mike. That mic is too big, Mike.
What?
But you've covered now. I've got on my piece of paper here the information about the vaccine passports, not being able to go on holiday, not being able to go shopping without these passports, not being able to go to the cinema in the UK, and you've stolen that. You've stolen that from me, Michael.
Great minds think alike.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Yes, you've redeemed yourself now. All I'm going to say, it's been a grandiloquent show. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Grandiloquent. Well, if you leave it up to me, we'll turn this into another 30-minute show. All I can ask is that you look at several different things. Susan is correct about the frequencies and being one, and remember how important it is and what we can do as it's hard for an individual to do anything, but as one of many, you are able to do a lot. And when we move forward, everyone moves with us. And don't leave a man behind. Try to get them to understand this. And I see that it may be a possibility in the future that a lot of the stuff that we've talked about and said that everybody said we're crazy about, it's probably going to come out and everybody's going to be able to go, wow, you know. So that was the part about Kevin's conspiracy thing, the reason why they came up with conspiracy. But there are some other things on the horizon that we didn't get to talk about today, and maybe we'll do in our next week's show. Mind control, some other things that are quite scary that all deal with putting something in your body that will control you and upload you into the AI or an intelligent cloud. There's some videos out there on it. If you want to do some research on it, I think you'll be shocked to see that. And maybe we'll talk about that next week. UFOs are going to continue to be in the news. Keep your eyes to the sky, as my wonderful Eric Cooper says from S4 Radio. And Susan, I would love to ask you where people can go to see your shows, to be able to get your books, your websites, all that other stuff, because you've got some great stuff going on and people need to know about it.
Thank you. So Daily Motion is where we are located. You can get that on your phone. It's on all smart TVs, including Apple TV and Amazon Fire Stick. You can get it on all the browsers. Daily Motion is one word. And when you get in there, you can just look up my name, Susan Shatzer, and you'll start to see our shows because we're new to this platform. It's actually based out of France, and we're just, it's in like 148 countries, and there's like 143 languages that it gets translated into. And, England is one, Spain, Ireland, like we're so excited to have that. You can go to Amazon.com and put my name in. And I have 13 #1 bestsellers that's in there also. And I'll just drop a link in the chat. In this chat, if that works best for you, and then people can just reach out, and you can always find me on all the social media platforms. And I have to tell you guys, this has been so much fun. Like I created this group with all 4 of us in I just popped in like once, and you should see. Oh my God, you listeners, you have so much coming in store for you, because these guys are just going to lay it out for you. It is so fun, and their energy, oh my goodness, is top notch, and they just dig at each other all the way through, and lift each other up with hogwash.
Hogwash. Yes. So with that, the key word today is hogwash. I was looking at my cup. It doesn't look like a bear. It's probably a hog now. Hey guys in the chat room, we do this all for you guys. There's Agent 21, the other mascot of the thing. He was very quiet today. And we thank you all for tuning in, and we thank you for your support. We love you all, and we are trying to do things the best we can. We're trying to put this out on YouTube so you can see it on YouTube. We're looking for a Facebook. We're going to probably be going to a Facebook page also. So we're changing some things around. Same thing with Into the Fire, and also so we're trying to get it more so we can get it more out there and have your responses more. So we thank you so very much for tuning in. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you here next Friday at noon Central and 1 p.m. Eastern. Bless you all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Susan.
Bye from Spain.